Hey guys, it's Pastor Chris here. We're going to do Connect Group in a little bit more intimate setting here today. Now, this past weekend we talked about how God wants to use us for His plan for salvation for the world. Now, we talked about that God uses the broken, and God uses the dysfunctional, and God wants to use the people that are seemingly nobodies, that don't have any necessarily worldly success, to bring about His plan of salvation for the people around us. We talked about how God still, though He used Abraham and Isaac and Jacob and David and all these other people to do these great, amazing, wonderful things, that to bring about the line of Jesus, He still is working, and He's still bringing about His plan of salvation. Now, we have our part to play in that, but I think one of the things that we struggle with is this idea that we look at one person's ministry and we see either its size or its success or its renown, its recognition, and then we see what we've been called to, and I think we compare. Now, I heard this joke one time that a limo went speeding up I-77, and it goes buzzing right by a cop, and so this cop catches up to this limo and pulls him over. He goes up to the driver's window, and the driver rolls his window down, and the cop his jaw kind of drops. He goes back to his squad car, gets on the radio, and says, I think I just pulled over somebody big. And the radio operator goes, well, who is it? Is it the governor? And the police officer is like, no, I think it's someone bigger. And so the radio operator says, well, is it the president of the United States? And he's like, no, I think it's somebody bigger. And the operator's like, well, who's bigger than the president of the United States? Who's in there? He says, well, I think I just pulled over Jesus because Billy Graham's driving his limo. So, yeah, I know, cheesy joke. Anyhow, but it's this idea. We all know who Billy Graham is. We all know the success of his ministry and the faithfulness of his ministry, and that is it's amazing. If it wasn't for the Billy Graham ministry, so many people would not have heard the gospel message, and that is an amazing thing. But what happens is we start to identify that this is successful, but maybe staying at home and raising your children, that's a lesser ministry. And we have to begin to fight this idea, because God wants to use both. God uses the successful big ministries, and He also uses the successful mothers and fathers. Now here's the thing. In my day, when I was growing up, when I first became a Christian, the whole thought was, you sell everything you have, you move to the deepest parts of the jungle, and you minister and spread the gospel as a missionary this way. This was kind of touted as like the for lack of a better term, sexy thing to do. It was to sell everything you had and be a poor vagabond and talk about Jesus. That was the thing to do, and that was what was considered the in ministry. But what about the people that love their family, the men and women who go to work every day and work steady jobs to take care of their family, to teach their kids about Jesus, and to provide a stable environment for them? What about them? Are they not making a difference in the world? People that love their coworkers and talk to Jesus, talk about Jesus to their coworkers. What about the small business owner and all these people that don't have the big sphere of influence and yet live their lives every single day for the love and glory of Jesus Christ? What about them? Is their ministry less significant? I don't think so. And here's the reason why I don't think so. Because I don't think the point is making a difference. Now, let me say it again. I don't think the point is how big of a difference we can make. I think the point is obedience. God puts us in a certain place and in a certain time, and He gives us this world around us in which we are to operate, and in which we're to show who He is and glorify Him. Now, for some of us, that's big ministries. For some of us, that's big churches. For some of us, that's worldwide speaking tours. For some of us, that's being faithful day in and day out, loving our children and telling them about Jesus. For some of us, that's being faithful at the jobs that we're already at, because we are the light and the hope that they have to see. We're the Jesus that they have to see. Now here's the thing. Living out our calling is about obedience, because the goal of ministry, the goal of doing anything, is getting more of Christ. So Paul, when he does his missionary journeys, he's called to do these things, but his whole point, his whole joy, everything that he got out of it was being closer to Christ. So the challenges that we have in the ministries that we're in right here and right now, those challenges are meant to bring us closer to Christ. The successes that we have in the ministries, in the places, in the world that we live in right now is meant to bring us closer to Christ. So again, we have the whole point not being making the biggest difference. The point is obedience, faithfulness, and then getting more of Christ. My hope and my prayer for you today and this week, and as you meditate and think about the people that God used and the fact that God wants to use you to save your members of your family, to save your coworkers, to bring His light and His joy to this world. As you meditate and think about those things, my prayer is that you would get more of Christ and that you would become content and joyful in the ministry that He's given you right here and right now. Because you never know, one day you may be a missionary in the deepest parts of Asia, or you may be a world-known speaker. But until then, be faithful, be obedient, because right here and right now is where Jesus is trying to get you more of Him. Guys, I love you, and I'll see you next week.